Thousands of veterans are heading to the site of the continued protests over the construction of the Dakota Access Pipeline. 2,000 veterans have already signed up, and we're going to give you all the details. Now, the current campsite can only hold about that many, unfortunately, but apparently up to 1,000 additional veterans will be heading there at some point. There will probably be some rotation. Obviously, people have lives that they have to continue. The veterans plan to set up on December 4th and will stay there at least through December 7th, although some will remain indefinitely at Standing Rock. Now, wouldn't it be cool if we had one of those veterans here? Maybe give us a little bit of background information about this plan. Oh, that guy. Michael, what is this?
Yeah, and by the way, not just one of the guys going. He's one of the two organizers, along with Wes Clark.
Well, I mean, the first thing is that it's really not about Wes or I in any way, shape, or form. Yes, we are the structure and the organization of this, but we're pulling back very intentionally at this point in time to let the tribes speak, and all the media and everything else is going to be directed towards the voice of the people. The point of this cavalry is to support what the people want, not what the oligarchy wants their soldiers and veterans to do. These guys and girls feel like they are really serving for the first time ever. When they swore to protect against all enemies, foreign and domestic, they meant it. But when we went and we fought foreign wars, we realized that that wasn't our enemy. And then when we came back here, we see the enemy prettied up in uniforms and badges and money and conservative agendas that bring capitalism to more and more while you're taken from the bottom. And we're fighting for the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, we've shown a lot of the footage from the protests. We're going to show you some, again, pretty shocking footage later on today. And when you say foreign and domestic, I mean, a lot of people see the showdown, the continual showdowns, usually at night, long lines of police officers behind barbed wire with sonic cannons and grenade launchers and things like that. And you can't help but see that as a clear enemy to the peaceful protesters who are on the other side of that line. And so to have thousands of veterans go and stand with them, perhaps the cops will be a little bit slower to resort to violence, and maybe the media will pay a little bit more attention to what's going on. They've been so hesitant to even mention the existence of the protests after 6 to 9 months of it going on. I think CNN finally sent a reporter, one reporter who did a little report on it.
I honestly think that's because of you guys.
That might be.
You know, we've been there from the beginning as the Young Turks. Jordan Chetton's gone there 5 different times. He's there now. He canceled a vacation because you guys were coming in, and he's out there in the freezing cold yelling at the cops. And
we also sent Chris to represent Pittsburgh. He's going over there.
Yeah, Chris Huck, who's part of our Pittsburgh team. He's also a veteran. He's joining you guys. Dennis Trainer's going to be there. So a lot of TYT folks there. But I think that you broke through, Michael. I see all of a sudden New York Times covering it, CNN covering it.
Well, I'm not even going to say that we broke through. So, I mean, you got to think, to us getting involved, we had to have Shailene Woodley go out there and bring it a little bit further. We had to have every protester and water protector that was there getting pepper sprayed and being shot with rubber bullets. I mean, they're the ones that got us here. The young woman that took the shrapnel to the arm from a concussion grenade. I mean, these are the reasons why we're there, because that drew our attention. So it's this escalation. And maybe we're that final thing, because it's like the coalescing of everything that's wrong, because we're showing what's wrong with if you're a libertarian, you know, they're trampling on your land and they're taking all your rights away. Yeah. If you're a conservative, they're spending astronomical amounts of money for the sole purpose of getting profits into those fuel people that are on the pipeline, because now that pipeline's built. So there's no new jobs, and you're taking the jobs directly away from the truck drivers that are transporting that oil safely right now. So you're literally taking jobs away to take all that money and put it into that few elite people. If you're progressive, you got to be upset about science. If you're like Wes and you're definitely afraid of climate change and you want to protect the planet for our children, well, then this is here. So it's like we're bringing all the matters of the movements that are all over the country, and they're just coming here because it's so clear.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you about objectives in 1 second, but there is one other set of folks who made a difference. And I don't mean to be too hokey here, but it's you guys, Young Turks members. If it wasn't for you, we couldn't have hired Jordan, and he wouldn't have been out there to interview Shailene Woodley. He wouldn't have been able to get the drone footage to show how close the drilling pad was to the water, and to hold the Army Corps accountable, and to carry the footage of them firing the concussion grenades, et cetera, which is all on TYT Politics. So thank you, because you made that happen. Now,
and us, you know, like it's the same thing. We're doing the same battle. So as you get members, those members listen to me a little bit, and then we get more money. And the more money we get, we're all supporting it because these are the same fights of standing up for the oppressed. All that everybody does is you guys are just funding us to go out there and do what you need done. We understand you have jobs and you have things to take care of. We're going to step up, and whether it's progressive news or it's going out there and fighting for your rights, that you guys are making this happen.
Well, the great
and
thing
by
about
the way, just sorry, Lee, real quick. If you don't know, I mean, now it seems like the whole country knows, but Michael and Wes's site, GoFundMe, for the veterans, is to fund the 2,000 veterans that are going there and maybe more later.
Definitely more later.
Right now, #1 on GoFundMe. So if you go to GoFundMe, you'll be able to find it, or enter Michael Wood or Wes Clark, and you'll definitely see it and go and contribute.
Well, I was going to say the great thing about veterans going is it short circuits the ignorant narrative of unruly protesters getting in the way of, you know, a pipeline that's just, and it's like, well, wait, why should we be against the protesters? Oh, now there's veterans there too. It doesn't fit in the normal paradigm of you know, the thought that tries to get pushed forward that they are, oh, they're unruly and they're trying to get in the way. And it's, I mean, you got to remember, you have militarized police protecting an inanimate object, a pipeline, against the people they've sworn to protect.
You know, this is almost identical to the plotline of Avatar, the most successful movie ever made, right? And yet we can't, like, the media can't see that, like, oh, that's not an interesting story. It's the same story as the #1 movie in world history. I like that nobody will find that interesting. Okay.
How is that the #1 movie?
Right. So, and you're right, Lee. I think the veterans got them to rethink it for a second, because they're used to their paradigms, right? And usually they hide behind veterans without even asking them. Like, oh, you're doing a protest. Oh, how dare you? That's, you know, our veterans died for that flag, or how dare you not stand, and yada, yada. Well, these are actual veterans. 2,000 of them, more pledged, right? More wanted to go.
There's a lot more. We had to say, stop, please. I don't know how I'm going to fund this. I don't know how I'm going to deal with more than 2,000 people, whether it's land or it's heat and shelter and supplies. Like, we had to cut it off somewhere. So that's where we just drew the line as manageable.
Yeah, and
that's quite a few still.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad about that.
And it's, from what I understand, part of it is that it's hard to fit more than 2,000 at a time in the encampment that's there. Now, again, people can rotate through, and, you know, hopefully that'll happen as things develop. Totally. Sunday, Monday, there's a lot of action that's going on. So talk to us about what your objective is, Mike.
Well, our objective is to actually serve the people. So while we have different motivations for being there, like there was this one story I heard from a guy that's in our group who was telling, he got a phone call from his friend that's in the National Guard to tell him, like, dude, I just got called up and I'm going to be on the other side of the protest. So they had to sit there and have a conversation, because he's coming up and he's going to be on our side where he never thought he was going to be, and his friend is going to be on the other side where he never thought he was going to be. And they're both like, but they both know which side is the right side.
Someday there will be a documentary about that.
Yeah, and you know what? That reminded me. One of our viewers sent an email. I'll leave out the names because they didn't want to get the person in trouble, saying that one of they know one of the cops that's serving, trying to now, you know, hold back the protesters, and they're thinking about. And he said not only is he thinking about resigning, but several of the cops there are thinking of resigning, because underneath all that militarized garb, they're human beings, right?
Yeah.
They're just like us. They're American citizens that are cops there. One already resigned. One from Wisconsin was brought in. And they bring them in to help in cases of natural disasters. This is not that. And a lot have pulled back now. Montana's pulled back their cops, and Minnesota's pulled back their cops. And so that one police officer resigned. You're a former police officer. So I feel like all of a sudden we've got momentum on our side, even though we don't have any money.
I totally have a hard time swallowing this. Like, I've been this pessimist that we're never going to get anywhere. And it's like, oh, like, we're succeeding. Like, I'm having a hard time swallowing it as I sat there and I read, like, the media and, like, what our members were saying, and how they were like, it's not about me, it's about the voice of the people, and I just want to serve the people. And, like, I had tears running down my face sitting there on Twitter at 2:00 in the morning, because it was like, oh my God, we're not alone.
You power the Young Turks. We do this all through membership. tytnetwork.com/join. Let's build the media that we can believe in.